This is Real Talk with Brendan Bardick, where we'll be talking about the latest real estate strategies, scripts, top producing techniques, and everything you're going to want to know about how to be an elite real estate agent or real estate coach, or just a great business person. I'm Brendan Bardick. So with Brendan Bardick Real Estate Coaching, where our mission is to train the most elite real estate agents and coaches on earth. I also, if this is your first time joining us, currently am the owner of the Bardick Group at Keller Williams Real Estate. We're currently the #1 real estate team in Denver. And in addition to that, I'm also the operating principal and owner of the Keller Williams Cherry Creek, which has about 200 plus amazing agents that are the best in the business. So in doing all this, the funny thing is even with saying all of that, I still work with buyers. I just do it very differently than probably most everyone else. And so I'm going to share some insight on that process of how that works and how we can have strategies and expectations and standards that are going to make your life a lot easier and a lot more fun and a lot more profitable. So with this, we first have to start out and kind of thinking through the mindset. So I'm gonna show you a couple of slides here and some things that I want to unlock your mind. On any of my classes, I always want to make sure people understand there's so many ways to do real estate business and be a real estate sales professional. Some of us have been here have been doing it for 30 years. Some of us have been doing it for 30 minutes. There's a lot of different styles, a lot of different things. I'm going to teach you what I do and what I know has worked for me and what I've also studied other top producers and what they do to make sure that we can be efficient. Now, the big thing, a lot of agents, they get this little chirp on their shoulder going, Brendan, you don't understand. I make the buyer experience the most amazing experience possible. If they want to see 100 homes, I'm going to show them 110. Cool. That's not being a business person. That's being insane, right? So we have to first start this entire process off with understanding that when you got your real estate license, you became a small business owner. And as a small business owner, the only thing that you can absolutely get paid for and control is your time. And once you understand that your time is the most valuable asset you can possibly have in this entire business, nothing can stop you. So we're going to be talking about how I can help you protect that time, how you can provide a better experience, and overall still make sure that the client loves you, refers you, and all of that. So let's jump in. I'm gonna go ahead and share some of the slides we are going to go through today. All right, we already know about me, very fun. Let's go into the next one. All right, so let's talk about first how buyers are just working you. Okay, so how do buyers work me? Well, when we're looking at how buyers work me, what we're talking about is there's no schedule, right? There's no system. They want to see a property tomorrow at 9 a.m. You go and show them a property tomorrow at 9 a.m. There's no expectation of when you go to show them a property that they're actually supposed to buy it. And that's the reason we're out there. So when we're looking at that problem, the things that I have every single person that I'm involved with coaching, they go, Brendan, you don't understand. These buyers are different. Brendan, you don't understand. My buyers are special. Brendan, you don't understand. My buyers are poor, right? Whatever your buyer's problem is, right? It's not your buyer's situation. It's a situation that you've caused and created because either you don't have enough lead generation to produce better quality buyers, so you're working with buyers that you shouldn't be probably showing properties to, or you don't understand that you think by showing them 1 million homes that you're showing them some sort of value, and that because you're on beck and call all the time, you're this super agent. I hear people go all the time, oh, I'm available 24/7 for my clients. Cool. Let me know how your life is, because that's never going to work. It's never going to work and be scalable, and it's never going to work and actually make you be a business owner. You'll always be running to doors and a cocker spaniel for your clients. Every time they want to see something, you're excited and your tongue's wagging out, and you're like, ooh, ooh, ooh. That's not what we're going to be trying to accomplish. So one of the things, and one of the notes that I wrote down here to make sure I didn't forget it was, we need to make sure that we're understanding their expectations. And what we're going to take you through today is exactly how to do that. So when we look at how I work with buyers, right? When I'm looking at how I work with buyers, the big steps that we're going to be taking you through today is the front side work gives you the later payoff. So a lot of times what I see agents doing is we're unfortunately not setting up on the front side to make sure every other piece falls into place. So that's going to be a big thing, is setting the standard from the start and setting a schedule from the start. It's going to be massive. Then we're going to talk about how we're going to do the research, because a lot of this time efficiency is just making smarter on the research. We're going to go through how you should show homes and which one should you show first, last. Should they drive in the car with you? Should they not drive in the car with you? Should you, all of these things I'm going to take you through, not only but what I've done, but what the best agents in the country do that do 100 buyer closings a year, 150 buyer closings a year, and enjoy that process, right? So we're going to go through all of those steps. And then we're going to talk about, once you're out with the client, how do you get them to make an offer? How do you actually close in the home? And for us, I really want to make sure we're very clear. People get very upset for some reason when I use the word close, because they're like, Brendan, I don't have to close anybody. I just keep showing them until they eventually give up and buy a house. And it's this happy, euphoric thing. Well, then you're not a professional salesperson. I don't know what you are, but it's not smart. So if we go out to show properties, the reason that we're doing it is because the client is supposed to buy one of them. Now, could you show them 1,000 or could you show them 3? That's the choice that we're going to talk about today, and how to make that not happen, because they don't want to see 1,000. You think they do. Okay. So we got to be very clear on how we work with people. So let's jump in here. Before we do anything, and when I'm talking about that front side work, the major piece of the front side work is the pre-appointment lead form. Now, this sheet is available on our private Facebook page. Anna's got it on there. She'll post a link in the side thing. This is not only a lead form or a pre-appointment, pre-qual sheet, or whatever you want to call it. I look at this as everything I need to know to not make my life miserable moving forward sheet, right? But that's too long to put on the top. Everything I need to know to not make my life miserable sheet. Okay, that's what this sheet is. Once you fall in love with this, you'll have a stack of them on your desk or in your workstation or wherever you're at in your office. And you go, okay, talking to a buyer, pull out my sheet. All I got to do is go through this, not screw it up. And I'm going to be 90% better than most agents out there. 90% right off the bat, we do this one thing. Okay. Now you go, but Brendan, usually I get a buyer lead. I'm in the car. It's a referral. It's something. It's all of this. Well, then you got to memorize this. And if you're going to take leads in the car, you need to internalize it so you can deliver on it at a later point. Okay. So when we're looking at this sheet, biggest thing you're going to see on here is we've got to get full contact information. Obviously, duh. Motivation is absolutely massive. So again, when I'm looking at motivation, I have buyers that I look at and I say, do they have to buy? And you go, well, but Brendan, nobody really has to buy. They're in a lease. They just want to kind of see what the market's like. They want to see all of these things. I guarantee you right now, there are people in the market that have to buy a home. That's what I try to really make sure I'm dialing in on, is those people, not the people that, well, if it was the right house, Brendan, we would move and put our home on the market. Now you're saying to yourself, but Brendan, I closed a house from doing that last year. Excellent. I'm not saying you're not to work with those people. I'm saying that that's going to be a much more difficult situation than somebody that you know is moving here from Wisconsin, that got a new job here, that has to buy a home. There's a different level of buyer there of who we want to be talking to. All right. So when we're looking at this sheet, I'm not going to go through it line by line. But when we look at, for example, number 7, how long have you been looking for a property? Have you seen anything you like? Did you make an offer? What's your price range? Do you currently rent or own? These are all just scripted questions that then go to the second page, which is financing. Of course, we need to know that on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being extremely urgent. How motivated are you to sell your house? So when we're looking at that, if they have to sell to buy, right? And then looking at the DISC profile, what type of person am I talking to? So when I'm looking at the DISC profile, what kind of person am I talking to? Now, that's a certain amount of questions, and we have that sheet available. When we're looking at that sheet, right, all we're trying to do is create a pre-appointment checklist, our PAC, PAC, to make sure that before I meet with these clients, I have everything I need to do to have a successful buyer consultation, okay? So in my checklist, when I'm looking at that and I'm saying, okay, I've got my lead form filled out, I feel good about it. Now let's go back to the lead form for just a second here. Here's some other things. You could have 100 questions on that lead form. We could have a 15-page survey. The more questions and the more information you know about that client, the better profile you can build to make sure that you're not wasting time out in the field because you don't really know what their true motivation is for what they want. So your role in this is you're kind of like an FBI investigator. You're trying to extract every piece of information out of them to make sure that you have the perfect profile so you can get them into the property in the least amount of time possible with the least amount of pain possible. So some additional questions on there could be things like, do you own any pets? Why would that be important? I ask it all the time because if you own pets, there might be a need for certain things. Yard, not at least a little piece of green area. I don't want to be here. If the dogs are huge, then that brings a different thing. What's the walkability? Do you like to be able to walk to stores, coffee shops, all of this? You can develop your 50 questions, but I'm trying to find out in those questions, what are their triggers and what really makes them tick? Do you have any medical issues? Do you have bad knees? Do you prefer a ranch? Are stairs okay? Do you mind having these types of issues? You know, all of those qualifiers make it so when I'm working with that client, they know that I, of course, care, number one, because I do, and number two, that I'm really aligning them with the home that fits their needs, not going window shopping and wasting a lot of time. So think about your list of questions that you ask every single time, okay? Every single time you build all of this profile out to truly figure out who they are. Now, when we're going through that or the lead form, the other thing that we're doing in there is we're identifying their personality style. So if I'm trying to identify somebody's personality style, I have to ask triggering questions to find out what kind of person am I dealing with? Are they going to be a driver where they're just going to drive home and be like, look, I need to find a house. I really don't care. If it's got a door and an address, I'm pretty much good to go. Just don't want to spend over this. Make it happen. That's a different conversation. If they care about the school systems, they have younger children, they want to know every statistic that exists and all of this stuff, then you know, okay, I have to deliver all this additional info. They're going to care less about what the home looks like and more about the statistics, the structural, all of those things. So when you're doing those pre-qual conversations, a lot of this to identify the DISC profile is asking them, what do they do for a living? What is their job? What does their life look like, right? Where do they work? What's the commute going to be? So great, you live downtown? Okay, so, but do you travel quite a bit for work? No, I don't travel at all. All right, so distance to the airport doesn't necessarily matter to you. How often do you think you actually go to the airport? Blah, 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 right? All of these things. So when I say that lead form, remember, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The longer you're on the phone with the buyer and the more you can know, the better off you're going to be, okay? So now you've had a great buyer call. Boom. I love it, love it. We got our sheet filled out. We got all of our additional questions, got a bunch of extra notes. Now we're ready to start getting our pre-appointment checklist ready for our buyer consultation, okay? So we're gonna talk a lot about the buyer consultation, where to do it, how to do it, all that fun stuff. But we're gonna need to have a couple of things in our buyer consultation packet, okay? Now this is whether you meet them at the house, the Starbucks, in the office, and I'm gonna talk about how to do each one here in a second. So you're going to need a home buyer plan of action. Home buyer plan of action. So you might be saying, cool, Brendan, that sounds fun. Don't know what you're talking about. Where do I get one of those? Well, if you're looking at that, you can easily create your own home buyer plan of action. There's plenty of things on Google. If you're Keller Williams, there's all kind of stuff on command. There's so many different ways to find this. I'm going to show you just what ours looks like. Now, you're going to want this in digital format, and you're also going to want this in printed material. All right, so hopefully everybody can see that, right? You're looking at a beautiful fireplace.
Yeah, it looks
Excellent.
great.
Yeah. So we call it our Buy with Confidence. So this is an actual folder, and I think, Anna, you have one, correct?
Yeah.
If you can hold up. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then you can show them inside that, the Buy with Confidence. Yeah, see, that's a beautiful thing. And then open up that wonderful flap. Beautiful. So that's what it looks like in real life. Now on here, I'm going to show you again what this looks like to just map the journey for the buyer. So steps to buying a home. And then once we found the home, now what? Now there's 1,000 versions out there of how to utilize this, but you're going to want to memorize this. You're going to want to be able to read this upside down when you're sitting there in front of the buyer and the husband and the wife, or the husband and the husband, or the girlfriend and the girlfriend, whoever you're sitting in front of. You're going to want to sit there and be able to take them through your buying process. So this is basically just a prop. I use that, and it's a prop that you use to make sure you don't forget to talk about anything, and make sure you explain it as best you can. So right now, the buyer consultation, pre-approval, narrowing the home search, the home shopping process, making an offer. Each one of these points, as you go through them, you're going to have a talking point of why it's important and why you do such a good job of what you do. So for example, if we're going through the make an offer process, you go, look, there's a lot of agents out there, Anna, that, I see it every day. Their buyers are getting so frustrated because they're losing out on property after property after property. I have a very specific and very proven method on how I get my offers for my clients accepted. May I explain? And then you go into, this is where you would explain how you do appraisal clauses. This is where you would explain the love letter that you put together for your buyers. This is where you'd be to explain all of the things that you do to make you stand out from the crowd, because otherwise the buyer's going, all agents are the same. So why do I care about working with you? Or why do I even need you when I could go directly to the listing agent? These things separate you from that. And there should be things that you do that's better than everyone else. So this is one of the biggest tools you will have. So I think at the end, Anna explains how we offer this and all that stuff. Again, when you're creating this, it's got to also speak to you and your personality. It's got to explain to what you're willing to offer. If you don't have a website that you're confident in that they can do a home search on, then you probably shouldn't be offering that and offering the sophisticated technology you have. If you're new in the business and you're not with a major, CRM or company that has a major CRM, then don't put that on there, because you're going to look stupid. Maybe you're going to put it on there and just have, I do it through the MLS, I do it through this, and I'm going to talk about why we want to do that and why we don't. So this beautiful thing goes in a nice folder. In that folder, we're also going to have a notepad with our logo on it, right? So a beautiful little notepad with our logoed or name and phone number on our pin. So when we sit down, we slide that over to them, go, look, we're going to cover a lot of information today. Please, I just want to make sure you take any detailed notes. And then there's going to be things that I'm going to prompt them to make sure they write down so they don't forget, because they will leave my consultation with homework. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. So this is a powerful tool. Then when we look at, there we go.
Brendan, any thoughts on, do you send this in advance or do you just review this live with them? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Chuck, that's why we have an email link for that. So that's called Issue, the company that makes that beautiful digital brochure. They have a free version and they also have a paid version. So if you can send the link ahead of time, great. If you want to send this in a pre-buyer consultation packet to their home, even better. Allow them to review it in detail. So when you meet with them, it's that much faster. But most of us, when we're meeting a new buyer, unless they're a relocation buyer out of state, it's happening pretty quickly. Our goal is how can I get in front of them as soon as possible to start the process? So yeah, great question. So when we look at that then, when we go back to our checklist, so we want our home buyer plan of action, we need an iPad, laptop, or other in-office screen, right? So if you're doing it in the office, and let's just talk about that briefly. I know everybody says, well, do it in the office, Brendan, do it in the office. It's way better in the office. It's way better in the office. The reason the office is so important is not necessarily because of the office. It's because it controls your time. You're not driving somewhere to waste time. And then if they no-show you, and again, buyers are liars, unfortunately, they're going to no-show you sometimes. They're going to have a million excuses on why not meeting with you was not very important to them. This controls your time by having them come to the office. Now, if your office is in downtown and their office, or they want to look at houses in Castle Rock or some, a place that's 45 minutes away from you, you're not going to try to make them come all the way to the office to do that, because you're going to reduce your ability to make sure that you can actually meet with them, because they're going to be frustrated that they have to come all the way down to find you. So guys, everything in this is within reason, within common sense. Preferable in office. Second down from that would be at their home. Okay, let me be very clear. At the office, at their current home. Third would be at a local meeting spot, a Starbucks, a coffee shop, a somewhere nice and quiet where you can have their divided attention. And then the last place would be at the first property. And I'm going to talk about that. There's nothing wrong with any of those four options. They're just better from start to finish in that order because of time, because of saving time is the whole reason behind that, and making the client feel comfortable. All right. So when I'm at the appointment, I have to be able to have a property search website or MLS available to me. So if you're using Boomtown, Real Geeks, Command, whatever it is, I would always prefer them to use my technology. I don't want to be using the MLS for my clients to look at homes. Do I want to make RE Colorado or Matrix or Iris or PPMLS or whatever your MLS is called in your area? Do I want to make their search engine optimization go up, meaning when people click on their website? Or do I want my search engine optimization to go up because they're clicking on my website? I would go with my website. So right now, we have 29,000 people in our database. Out of that 29,000 people in our real estate database, and remember, I started with zero, boop, zero. So some of you are just be like, oh, well, no wonder it started at zero. But all of those people, when they're on a home search and they're not using the MLS or Redfin or Zillow or whatever other garbage websites out there, because that's what I call them when I'm telling my clients, they're garbage websites, right? When they're using those, they're clicking on my site every single day, looking at homes, making me move up in the rankings of Google, which is what I want, right? Which is what all of you should want if you're going to have a real estate career and not just a real estate year, right? That's what we want to have, is a long-term longevity to make that happen, okay? So play the long game, okay? Now, if you're using your company's IDX, that is also fine. At least that's better than the outside world. But this is all very important. And plus, the way that people see information is very important, which I'm going to explain here in a second. So logoed, pinned, and notepad, completed buyer lead form. So you're going to have your buyer lead form sitting in I put my Padfolio somewhere, sitting in your Padfolio. And that buyer lead form just becomes your script in the appointment. So now you just open it up and you just go, I'm just going to go back and confirm these questions again. Sounds smart. Okay, so again, you want it to be close to the airport. Again, you want it to have a strong walkability. Again, you've got a bad knee. Again, okay, perfect, right? So you're going to be going through all those things. And then you're going to want to have a printed buyer agency agreement already completed for a minimum of 6 months, longer if it's a luxury client, depending on the days on market, completely filled out and highlighted with where they need to sign. You are there to secure a relationship with the client that protects your time. You're going to hear me, boy, there should be a bell every time I say time during this presentation that protects your time when you're working with them, so you don't go and show them all this. Now, people go, Brendan, have you ever shown properties without a buyer agency agreement? Of course I have. I'm all guilty. I do a lot of bad things. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't do stupid things on a daily basis. And I've gotten burned. I've gotten burned. And no matter what, you go, well, my clients, it's all by relationship. They would never do that. Then first of all, you're not doing enough lead generation, because if you're doing only people that know you, you're not going to ever really have a big enough business, number one. Number two, the other psychological piece of this is when they sign an agreement to have you represent them as their buyer agent, to represent all of their interests, it just got real that, oh, we're doing this. We're buying a house. Not, oh, I love Sally. She's so nice. She's got nothing to do on Saturday, so she's going to take us around. She loves hanging out with me anyway. We're besties. Let's go look at some properties. Lottie-dottie-dottie. Screw that. There is no money in that, right? But that's what they think. So with the buyer agency, it's not only a protection measure for you, it's to get their mind working into the fact that this is really going down. I'm buying a house. Like, this is happening. That's why I'm signing this, is because this is a process. So remember, that is when you're looking at the buyer's mindset, every little piece adds up. You're blocking on next piece to next piece to next piece to next piece. If you skip a lot of these certain pieces, you go back and you go, oh, I don't know why I'm still showing this guy or this gal so many houses. This is just ridiculous. It's because the pre-process, you didn't hit every checkbox. Now, then there's that other the devil comes back on your shoulder again and he goes, Brendan, you don't need all that. You can sell houses. Remember those 2 houses you sold last year and you didn't even have a buyer agency agreement signed? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You're fine. That's not a system, right? That's not a system. That's like me saying that, yeah, I could go run into traffic. I'm not going to get hit by a car every time, but eventually I'm going to get hit by a car. I don't want anybody to get hit by a car. So let's do the right things and be smart about that, okay? So pre-appointment, now we're setting the stage. Great, we've got our packet, super easy. And now most of this stuff, just so you already know, is already pre-made or already pre-done. So you already have your 10 folders going and you go, boom, I need to have 10 buyer appointments or consultations this month. I got 10 folders all ready to rock and roll. I'm going and picking them all up and knocking it out. You can buy a folder for, bulk from Express Docs or whatever company you're using for $50. You can buy, all this stuff is super easy. People don't do it because they don't see enough value in it. And then they wonder why, when they're working with this buyer, they end up not working out with them and they go use another agent. It's because they didn't have enough pride and confidence in you being their agent, okay? So your office, we talked about this at the first property, where to meet them. Again, pro tip, you're not leaving there without a signed agreement. So in your mindset, you're going there and you're going, look, I'm about to make $10, $5, $15, $20, $50,000. My goal in this is to make sure that the clients see my value and understand why I'm so amazing, and I'm not leaving without a signed agreement. Okay? Now, if everything we do right and you slide across this agreement to sign and they stare at you and they go, yeah, well, we're not even at that point. We're just at the just looking point. Oh, good. Me too. I'm making sure that when you're just looking, that you're completely protected and that I'm able to represent you to make sure no one takes advantage of you. To be able to do that, all I need, Anna, is a signature and we're good to go. That's all it is, right? And you whisper, oh, good. You're not ready to, not an issue. All this does is allow me the ability to protect you at all times. You do want to be protected, correct? Sign here, okay? So that's the whole mindset that we have to have with getting the agreement signed. So all right.
Brendan, before we move past the buyer lead form too much, I have a question. Let's say on first pass through on the phone, you had a great conversation with these folks. You really feel like you understand their pain points. We're in the buyer consultation and those answers change. How do you deal with the inconsistency of their ideas changing between the first conversation and the second?
Absolutely. Well, because again, a lot of times, the same thing when we walk into a store, we think we want one thing and then we leave with another. So when we're doing that, that's why we go back through the lead form and confirm the buyer prequal, everything to see. And now you might have did the form with the wife, and then the husband's like, she said, what? No, that is not what we want. She is crazy, right? Yes, this is a psychological freaking battle to make sure that you're probing both of them enough. Sometimes you're the marriage counselor, sometimes you're the doctor, sometimes you're literally a shoulder to cry on, but you're trying to get them both to identify the things that matter most to them and compile a profile that they can both live with. Now, I get agents all the time where you go, look, the buyer, the couple's just not on the same page. They're just not on the same page. That's your job, is to get them on the same page. That is what your job is. So the longer you sit in that consultation to get them onto the same page, the better off you're going to be. You leave that consultation and he wants a ranch and she wants a 2-story. He wants to live in Highlands Ranch and she wants to live in, wherever. Then you've got an issue. So we have to have those conversations right there, again, like a counselor, to get them narrowed down onto the same page. So let's talk about some of those questions, right? If we're looking at that and we're saying, okay, I've got to dial in those questions, when I'm working with couples, and I do it all the time, it's let's talk about, again, with both of you, what would make it where you both could see you living in this area or home, and it would be not only your dream home, because there isn't necessarily a dream home, but you could really see yourself both living there and being happy and enjoying it. They'll say to you, well, it'd have to be this, 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 and this. Okay, I can appreciate that. So if we're looking at it, then we're basically saying we want to be in this area, or this area with this, 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 and this. Now, guys, let's dial that in a little bit more. If we could take those 3 areas, and out of those 3, if you could both agree on one area that you really feel by far and away is the most preferred area, which one would that be? So we're going to start out with big and then go small. So 3 areas to 1, 2 areas. Okay, so I understand you don't really care between X city and this city, but if there was one that was just a little bit better for the both of you, which one would that be? Okay. I hear people all the time in buyer consultations when they're like, oh, you want to be here, 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 here? No problem. All right, we're going to show you 65 houses on Sunday. We'll cover at least 400 miles, and it's going to be awesome, right? And you're going to war. That is crazy, because the research and the probing wasn't done on the front side. They don't know. Great question. They don't know what they don't know. They don't even know what they want. Your role in this is to prequal. You're to filter. I have clients that come in all the time, and they'll say to you on the phone immediately, look, we don't even know. So we want to see a lot of different areas. Maybe we want to live in the foothills. Maybe we want to live downtown. So we'd like to see all of those different areas. We'd like to see condos on one day, and we'd like to see single family homes in a golf course community on the other day. What? Whoa. What? No. So let's dive that in real quick. So have you ever lived in a condo? Well, no. Okay. Have you ever lived downtown? Well, no. And then I just keep going and going. So again, here's some issues that you might face with this that some previous clients have had, ... Oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, okay. Yeah, the noise and the alarms and the riots and all of this. Yeah. Now, just want to make sure you're okay with that. Now, golf course community also has some limitations, like you can't, do this. So what's really important to both of you for where you want to live? I just saved an entire day of showing properties because I was bold enough to have these conversations. Not even bold enough, because I just knew that if I have these conversations, it's going to save me and them time. All right. So next thing, we have to utilize technology. Technology. I know we're tired of hearing about it, but it is what makes this so much easier. And I was an early adopter of this, because with the technology meant less work for Brendan, which made me happier, because I just don't want to work as much. So in the presentation, I'm taking them through exactly how I'm going to set up their custom search. So, Anna, you know what? Next thing I want to talk about is the amazing proprietary technology that I have, that I've been spending so much time refining to make sure that my clients have the best experience ever. So I either pull up on my laptop, my iPad, or the TV screen inside the office, and I'm going to show them quickly how to search for properties on my site and just how easy it is to mark a property as a favorite, meaning a little heart button next to it, whatever your website does, so that I'm notified of what properties they're interested in. So Anna, after this, I want to show you, and here's the map tool. So you can go on there and draw your own maps. So you can do all of these things. I have to educate the consumer, so I'm not the one always having to make these searches for them, right? Now, if they're 92 years old, is this going to be more difficult? Of course it is. If they're 92 years old, then there's going to be some differences in things on how you're going to have to present if they're not tech savvy at 92, right? But don't assume that they're not. The technology is pretty darn simple. You take your mouse and you draw a circle around the area that you have interested in, and properties pop up. Pretty simple. Now, Anna, thanks so much. I want to show you the technology. After today, and after I'm getting all this information, I really know that you and Chris, I completely have a vision for what you guys are saying you want to accomplish. So after this meeting, I'm going to create a customized search for you. I'm going to create a customized search for you that'll show you immediately all the available properties for all the criteria we discussed today. Now, you can go in there and play around with different settings. You can look at different things. But again, the search that I'm preparing for you or creating for you has everything we discussed today. Now, with today being Tuesday, I know we discussed that you would like to see homes this Saturday because, correct, you both are off and that's the best time to do that. So yep, now, right. as I dive into those expectations, and I'm going to take you through the expectations, they're going to have a guideline of what needs to happen before Saturday for us to have success with this, okay? So share your timetable for getting them the results they want, okay? So if it's Tuesday, we're going to look at homes on Friday. We're going to go under contract. You'll be in the new home by. Won't that be amazing, right? Won't that be fantastic, right? Not, we're going to go look at some homes on Saturday and we'll just see what you like and what you don't like. No, that's not the timetable. You're going to be in your new home by. So here we have to back out everything from there to make sure that that happens as quickly as possible. Set them up on a search to identify their favorites. We talked about that. Cap the favorites to 6 to 10 properties. So remember, quality over quantity. There is no point of seeing any more than that, and even that's probably a lot, right? I want to narrow it down. I'm going to talk about how to do that. So setting the day of expectations, and I'm going to take you through kind of a live role play on this. So we need the pre-qual letter, of course. Bring your checkbook. Make sure that you have enough earnest money in your account to make an earnest money deposit. Right? So a lot of times they don't even realize that they need to stroke a check for $5, $7, $10, $50, $100,000, right? If they're buying a $1 million property, the earnest money could be $250,000 or $150, depending on how many millions of dollars the property is. So they need to make sure that that money is secured and able to be deposited. They need, and I always tell them this, they need to wear comfortable shoes, right? Slip on, slip off. You want to talk about inefficiency of time. Number one, they're wearing hiking boots with 55 belts and boots and straps and all this. Every time I go in a house, I'm sitting there for 25 minutes watching them put their shoes on and absolutely want to cry, right? So set the expectation. Wear your Crocs there, Billy Joe. Let's wear your Crocs. Make this an easy, comfortable experience for us to go look at this property so we're not dealing with all this drama when we're in there, okay? Eliminate distractions. So I know you have 19 kids. I love children. Children are amazing, but it's going to make this process very difficult. And just the other day, I had one of my clients who had very well-behaved children, and the son ended up smashing an heirloom award that was on this guy's office that he had received when he was in the Army that was irreplaceable. That was a tough conversation for me to call and talk to that agent, and they wanted to buy the house. Do you really think that they wanted to move forward with with my client's offer? They just smashed something that was irreplaceable. So let's reduce those distractions. Now, that is a true story, but it's also, regardless of that story, use my story and tell them, hey, I heard the story the other day of why I'm concerned about you bringing your 50 kids with you, right? People go, well, Brendan, you don't understand. They want the kids there because it's exciting. They want to see the bedrooms and all of that. Is the kid writing the check? Because if the kid ain't writing the check, you don't need to be there, right? And I don't know a lot of kids that are stroking earnest money checks the last time I went out showing houses. Don't need to be there, right? It would be cool to see that. If you get a picture of that, I would love to see it because that would be really awesome, right? But kids don't write checks. So I want the parents focused. I want them dialed in on the mission at hand, which is we're buying a home today. That doesn't mean people get in there, well, you don't care, Brendan, you don't understand what it's like to be a mom or a dad. I understand that you guys go on date nights and have dinners and you don't bring the kids. Hopefully you do. So why is it you don't go to the dentist with your kid? And he's like, well, maybe you do. I don't know which people do. Maybe they do bring their kid to the dentist. Maybe they do. I don't know. But there's things that you can schedule ahead of time to make sure they realize how important this is. That's all we're doing. I want to make this experience amazing for them the same way they want to have an amazing experience.
And Brendan, with COVID, it's actually discouraged by the association to bring children. So you could use that to your benefit too right now.
Thank you, COVID, right, Chuck? Like the one good thing COVID gave us, right? So again, yes, beautifully said. Leverage. We want to keep people safe. Keep the little ones at home. Awesome. I love it, right? So let's just quickly go through this. So I'm sitting there, and guys, what I'm about to just take you through, if you can master this one technique, it will change your game for the rest of your life on how you work with buyers. Okay. So we're sitting there, and I'm sitting there with Anna. So Anna, again, thank you so much. So today is Tuesday. I've already gone through I've gone through all their goals, I've gone through all their stuff. I understand their profile. I understand everything. So Anna, excellent. I really have a perfect vision of what you and Chris are actually looking for. And I'm super excited that we're going to be able to find that this week. What we want to do now is, I know that you told me that your availability is to see homes this Saturday at 12 o'clock. Is that still correct?
Yep, that works.
Okay, wonderful. So for us to be able to go and look at properties this Saturday at 12, here's the timeline that we need to make sure that we accomplish so that can happen. Now, as you said, you don't have the pre-qualification letter just yet. I know you're going to be talking to my lender, Annie, who's amazing. Now, I know you also want to check out Wells Fargo, but we did discuss exactly why using a local lender has huge benefits to you. So you're going to speak to Annie. Even if you decide to use Wells Fargo, that's great. I'm going to need a pre-qualification letter no later than Friday by noon for us to be able to see properties Saturday by noon, because most agents that I work with require that I have a pre-qualification letter or pre-approval letter prior to us even scheduling the showing. So without that, I won't even be able to get you in to see homes. So I got to have that, okay? Just got to have it, okay? So that'll be Friday by noon. Now, as I said, it's now Tuesday. After this conversation, I'm going to be creating this customized search profile for you. I'm going to email you a custom link to your email address, and both of you want it to both your emails. Great. Okay. To Susie at Gmail and Johnny at Gmail. Perfect. I'm going to send that to you. When you click on that email, you're going to be looking at all the available properties per the exact profile that we talked about today. Now, between now and Friday at noon, I want you to select the top 5 to 7 properties, 5 to 8, whatever your comfortable number is. 5 to 7 is what I normally say 9 out of 10 times. The top 5 to 7 properties that you would like to mark as a favorite, that you would like to see on Saturday at noon. Now, there might be more that you think are interesting. Really try to narrow it down, because again, you know what you like and you don't like. When you look at that kitchen, and if you don't fall in love with that kitchen, pass. If you look at that front of that house and you don't like the way the front of that house looks, pass. If you don't like certain things about it, pass. You guys, you want to find the right home, not look at a bunch of homes. And I can tell you, there's a lot of garbage out there. I see it every day. There's no point to go look at garbage when you're looking for a diamond. So let's find the diamonds and stay dialed in on the diamonds, okay? Now, there might only be one that you want to see on Saturday. If that's the case, even better, that means that you're doing exactly what you should do, which is being very specific and making sure we know what you want. Now, here's what buyer agents get in their head. They go, well, Brendan, what if they don't find anything and we don't go look at a house? Then they'll never buy anything. That makes no sense. You're not going to go sell them something they don't want. So let's eliminate everything that we can to make that easier. So great. Now, Friday by noon. Now, Anna, we also talked about earnest money. So usually the earnest money is going to be 1 to 3% of the actual list price or offer price that we're going to be submitting. Some agents require a little bit more. Some agents require a little bit less. Now, I do know that you said that you wanted to be looking at $1 million homes. So for a $1 million home, we're going to be looking at X amount of money, right? 50,000, 5,000, 10,000, whatever the math is that we're trying to do is how much we're going to bring there, but make sure that you go a little bit more to be sure that we're safe. So Brenda, do I need that in my account? Whatever it is. So yeah, you just need to make sure that's secure, because when we make an offer on Saturday, I'm going to need to make sure that you have your checkbook so we can write an earnest money check to the title company to secure our offer. So we're going to need to have you make sure you bring that with you Saturday at noon to make sure that we're able to do that. And again, I ask it like 9 times, and you're sure you have the available funds right now? Well, no, we're actually borrowing the money from our mom. So yeah, we still got to have that conversation with her. All right, again, we won't be able to go look at homes on Saturday if we don't have that money secured in an account that we can actually be able to utilize to write that check on Saturday. So I'm going to reconfirm with you Saturday that you have those funds in your account. Cool. All right. So now, then make sure wear comfortable shoes. I know you love your kiddos, but let's leave them at home, and you can use that in a preface way. So Anna, you know what? I know, if you can make sure that we can leave the little ones at home, that would be wonderful. Can you get a babysitter? I just want to make sure that no risk happens and you guys are completely protected. And then next thing, so after you look at those homes, mark them as favorites. What I'm going to do on Friday is I'm going to set up the buyer tour for you, and I'm going to review each property. Now, I'm also going to be looking at properties that I think may be a good fit for you as well. And again, we're going to be making phone calls throughout the week to find properties that are off market. I'm going to be doing all kinds of different research to make sure that I find, based on this profile, everything you really want by Friday at noon. Then once I have all that information, then I'm going to send you a link to where we're going to meet with the first address on Saturday at 12 o'clock. Now, please be there on time, because we are going to have a very detailed schedule. And again, if you're late, it will mess everything up, and we might not be able to see some of the homes you want to see. So I don't know about you guys, but have you ever had a buyer not show up on time? Yes, thank you. If you haven't, then you are an anomaly. Think about how powerful that last little piece of conversation was. If you don't tell them how important it is to be on time and how it's absolutely critical, they don't care. They go, "Oh yeah, it's fine. It's Brendan. He has no life and no fun, and it's just the middle of the day on a Saturday. What else would he rather be doing? Screw him," right? No. That's how they think. So we need to stress to them the importance of why it's important to be on time or early. Okay?
So
Perfect.
really also what you're implying is that you're not picking me up on Saturday. We're not doing this tour together in the same car either.
Well, thank you again, COVID gods, for putting us in this situation. But yes, even before COVID, well, for COVID, safety reasons, before COVID, never want to do that. So if they ask, well, Brendan, don't most agents just pick us up and drive us around? Yeah, well, first of all, I'm not most agents. And here's the reason why I don't do that. Is because I've found, after years of doing this, and again, if you've been new in the industry, you can still say that, just, don't say that, but figure out something better to say in a different way, right? But after doing this for years, what I've found is that most of my clients like to drive separately, because as we go from property to property, you guys like to have private conversations. There's going to be plenty of time for us to talk in each home, so don't think that I'm not going to answer all your questions, but you're going to want to be able to discuss privately your thoughts about the home, number one. Number two is, usually by the end of the tour, most of the couples I work with, or most of the clients that I work with, if it's just a single person, most of the clients that I work with, they like to be able to go and drive the neighborhoods that we just already saw and go back and take their time and see if they actually like the area, where the schools are, where the shopping, where the Target is, all of that stuff. So it just makes it so you can do a lot more exploring on your own, which is, I'm sure, wouldn't you agree, it's going to make you feel a lot more comfortable, right? Yeah. So that's the spin. There's always got to be a reason why it's better for them. Instead, I don't want to make small talk with you and you kind of smell. I can't tell them that. That's what I'm thinking, but I can't tell them that. Okay. So Now here's that little, if there are agents on this call right now that have been selling houses for 20 years, they go, Brendan, that's ridiculous. I built all the rapport in the car. People love me. That's in your head. You think I want to talk to the Uber driver for 4 hours? No, I don't want to talk to an Uber driver for 4 hours. That is insane. Your own ego is making you think that that's what people want. That is not what they want. They want to get in, find the home of their dreams, and get out. This isn't like you guys aren't dating. You're not kicking it. You're not going to have linguine that night. You're really trying to get to the point of we're here to buy a home. That's it. That's what I'm here to do. And I want to make that process as easy as possible for you. So Friday by 5 p.m., I'm going to send you the location of where to meet at the first property or the only property for our tour, depending upon what we're looking at. So great. Please be there on time. We talked about that. Excellent. So now I think we come to Friday, right? So when we're looking at the pro tips of now we're at the Friday, I go in, I look at all of the searches that they've done, or look at all the properties that they've marked as favorites. I'm going to look at those. Then I'm going to screen them again. I just don't go start setting them up like some Cocker Spaniel chasing around my tail. I'm going to look at each property and I'm going to go, nope. They told me 100% they didn't want a south-facing property because of his concerns about slipping on ice and breaking his back or whatever it is on snow. So I'm going to call them up and I'm going to say, hey, look, I know you picked these three. Just want to let you know that I've excluded that one because it doesn't match your criteria. Well, Brendan, you don't think it's worth it to just see it anyway? No, I don't. I want to get you the right home. I don't ever want you to settle for homes that aren't good enough for you or what you want. Okay? Now, that it's coming back on your shoulder again. You're going, well, Brendan, I've shown properties and the people never thought they wanted it and they ended up buying that one. Cool. Is there a lottery ticket every single, we could say that about everything. I'm not trying to bank my time in my life on lottery tickets. I'm trying to bank them on strategy and common sense. Okay? There's always an exception to the rule. This is what separates people that sell 10 houses a year or 50 to 100. If you want a class on how to sell 10 houses a year, go to DMAR and I'm sure they'll teach you one, but that's not the class that I'm teaching. Okay? I'm teaching you how to make a lot of money and have a very successful business. That's a different class. All right? So now that we've set that expectation, we've got all the clarity on what we're going to accomplish. We're scanning every property. We're having tough conversations and we're getting it narrowed down. And this is where I said the big thing is research, and then being honest enough about why not to go see something or if you should or not. Okay. Now it's the day. So when we're looking at that, now it's the day for, finishing off the buyer consultation pro tips. Make sure you dress it, to impress. That should be without saying, but I still have to say it, right? Just again, you're a business professional. You're a walking billboard. Review your presentation and practice it. So again, you get paid at the level you present. As real estate professionals, all we do, I get paid an absorbent amount of money to be a really good presenter of information. The better I present, the more agreements that are signed, the more money that I make, the more people I can help, the more charity I can do, the more adventures I can have, and the world goes on. If I'm a terrible presenter, I get paid terrible money. That's not what you want. So you've got to practice this. I didn't wake up as a good presenter. I have social anxiety. I'm an introvert. I'm pretty much a mess. And so I hate being in front of people. It actually makes me somewhat uncomfortable and nauseous every time I have to do it. So I had to practice and practice and practice and practice. Then it was less and less scary. Cool. So build a client connection through eye contact and mirroring. All right. So matching and mirroring. You're sitting at the table at Starbucks. They lean forward and put their elbows on the counter. You put your elbows on the counter. They sit back and cross your arms. You sit back and cross your arms. They scratch their ear. You scratch your ear. They won't even realize you're doing this, but it's psychological that if he or she looks like me, then he or she must understand me, which means he or she makes me feel comfortable, which makes me want to sign an agreement. Okay? They talk fast, you talk fast. They talk slow, you talk slow, right? whatever it is, we're making them feel comfortable, right? I'm here. This is the other problem agents have. Somewhere along the way, your mom told you, and I swear to God, I hear this all the time. My mom told me to be myself. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be myself. Look at me. I'm great. I get a gold star for being myself. Yeah, that works as a 9-year-old. That does not work in the world of business. You get paid to be a chameleon. You get paid to become what they want you to become because it makes them comfortable, and it's about them and not you. Them, not you. Okay? So you can study this more, neurolinguistics, matching and mimicking. We teach all kinds of different classes on that as well. It's powerful. All right? So don't leave without the agreement sign. We talked about that. Now, here's a game changer for your business. First game changer, setting standards and not letting them ruin your life. Second game changer for your business is delivering what we call the promise. So here's a script from our script book that you can also get on our private Facebook page for free. It has our 50 objections handled, all of our scripts that we use on a daily basis. And the promise is just a technique that, not only technique, it's a commitment of service that I'm going to provide to my clients that provides me with a response of what I want, which is referrals and 5-star reviews. So Anna, you know what? So now that we got all the standards taken care of, right? I'm so glad we got all that covered. One of the things I want to talk about before we go today and look forward to Saturday is I deliver on what I call the promise, right? So my promise is to provide you with the most exceptional real estate experience on earth. So throughout this transaction, my team and I will be checking in on with you. Now, if you don't have a team, it'll just be you. I'll be checking in with you to make sure I'm delivering on that promise. When I deliver on that promise, I'm going to ask you to do 2 things for me. And I'm going to ask you to provide me a 5-star review on Zillow. And second, I'm going to ask you if you could refer someone else to me that you know that's looking to buy or sell a home. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, sounds
right.
Great.
So I just created a mental contract with my client that when I do an exceptional job, and I'm going to be checking in with them to make sure I do this exceptional job, that in return, they're going to hook me up. Who's going to say no to having the most exceptional real estate experience on earth? They'd be like, no, that's not for me. I'd like to have the most average real estate experience on earth. And so when you do that, maybe I'll give you a 4-star review. No, that's not going to be the conversation. Okay. Now, then you're getting in your head already. I can already hear you guys. I can see the screen. You're going, what if I can't deliver on the most exceptional real estate experience on earth, right? I've been selling houses for all of 14 minutes. I don't even know where I'm at right now. I don't even know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, right? This is, again, it's a practice. You will deliver the most exceptional real estate experience on earth because all that comes down to is, again, being prepared. You want to deliver the most exceptional real estate experience on earth. Be honest with your clients. You know, when they have an issue, address the issue, take the yelling that they're going to give you and move on and say, hey, I know that got a little squirrely there. I know it was a little weird. Just want to make sure we got your needs taken care of and that I'm still delivering on the promise of you having the most exceptional experience on earth. Well, it's not very exceptional, Brendan. We ended up not getting any of our inspection items taken care of. I understand, completely frustrating. And again, I wish I could go to that lady's house, put a gun to her head and make her give you all those items. Unfortunately, that's illegal. So as you would imagine, that's what she's done, but I can only help guide you through the experience. So as the experience, so you got to separate them from things that go sideways and your job, right? Right? That's all I can do. I'm a consultant to make sure you have the best experience possible. Now, to check in on the promise, and we teach another class about the promise in itself, because this is a powerful tool on listings as well. So after we get past inspection, I'm going to call up Anna. I'm going to be like, hey, Anna, so glad we got that taken care of. Really excited that we're moving on to the next step. Hey, just wanted to check in with you real quick to make sure I'm still delivering on the promise. Yeah, Brendan, you're doing great, man. I really couldn't be happier. Thank you so much. 99% of the times it's going to be that. Well, great. I'm so glad about that. As you know, I just wanted to check in with you right now. Can you think of anybody even right now that might need to buy or sell that I could also help? Boom. After the appraisal, you can ask the same thing. The day before closing or at closing, you ask the same thing. Well, Brendan, I just can't think of anybody. No worries. It's closing day. You can't think of anybody? Anna, don't worry. I'm going to check in with you every 30 days until you can provide me somebody that might be interested. That's all I'm doing. They made a contract with me. I delivered on my piece of the bargain. Now it's time for you to deliver. And I'm not, be very careful. Don't say, I want you to give me a review, a 5-star review. Be super clear about that. Does a 4.2 review help you with squat? No, it's not good. All right, so that's the promise. Okay, before the home tour. All right, so Anna, how are we doing here? Any questions? Does anybody have any questions on any of this stuff?
You know, the only one that we have, and I know we're going to get to it, is, you know, what if they pull a fast one on you the day of, right? Oh, I just found this property. It's amazing. Can we throw it on the home tour? How do you handle that?
That is a great question. Yeah. So again, you're showing them houses at noon. It's 9 a.m. A new listing just hits the market. Oh my gosh, we need to see that. It's all if it's possible. If it matches their needs, it matches everything that we're looking at, and it is a good fit, then you're going to try to get it set up for them. Now, if it's not a good fit, and you know, obviously you look at all these things and you just explain and have that conversation with them. But yes, I wish there was like this magic answer where I could be like, nope, you can't see it. If you don't get that property set up, I've set up properties that they found in the car going from house to house if I thought they were right, because I didn't want to have to go back out again on Sunday, right? My whole mission is to go out, find them the home they want, get an offer, get it accepted that day. I have nothing else in my mind except that being the only outcome that's going to happen that day. I don't wake up and go, boy, I sure hope I get to show them a bunch of houses and maybe they'll pick one. That's a huge difference we got to get across in our mindset today if you're going to be successful as a buyer specialist, listing specialist, or any specialist. Is start with the end in mind. Start with what you want. Everything behind it is going to be chaos. And you're like, oh, and you're running here, and then you're late from showing to showing, and the lockbox broke, and you got a flat tire, and you ran out of gas, and you have a stomach ache. That's the world, right? That's the world. So I'm going to try to eliminate as many of those things as possible for you guys to not have to deal with so much drama. But yeah, those are those big things. So in talking about that, then we go before the home tour. So before the tour, I'm the respected real estate professional. They're looking to me to be their oracle of all of their questions, right? They're like, Brendan sells real estate, so he must know every single thing about Arvada. Of course. Yeah, I've studied Arvada my entire life. No, I don't know everything about Arvada. That's impossible. People that live in Arvada don't know about Arvada, right? Or whatever town you're in. So I'm going to review and scout the properties they picked. So when I see the properties they picked, I'm going to look around. First, of course, run my check down. School systems, right? Number one, boom, school systems. What county is it in? Because I want to make sure that I understand what the tax situation may or may not be. I'm going to be looking at where the closest shopping areas are to different properties. Now, I still go old school where I print out maps, right? I know we have GPS. I know we have our phone. I like having maps that I can attach to my buyer showing pages, so I can quickly go and have a cheat sheet of references with schools, libraries, stores, everything, and then go. And they're like, man, so do you have any idea where the closest, grocery store is? Oh yeah, it's right over by X and X street. I don't even know where I'm at. 90% of the homes I sell, I literally could not tell you where I was. I had no clue where I was at, barely just winging it. But I did do research ahead of time to make sure it was okay. Now, if you don't know the answer, that's okay. You know what? I'm not quite sure. Let me double check real quick because I think I know where it's at. But I don't know if they tore that shopping center down or not. So let me double check. Just buy time so you don't look stupid. Then you're in the car, you're scrambling, you're looking up things on your phone or whatever it is. Okay. So make sure your favorites align with your goals. You need to make sure that happens. Be very strict about that. And then review the surrounding neighborhoods, schools, parks, landmarks. We already talked about that, worth knowing. So the more you know, the better. All right, now it's 24 hours before your home tour. Now, right now I can already hear people again going, Brendan, usually a buyer calls me and I have to show them a house that afternoon. Would you go show them a house that afternoon? The answer is, it depends. If all of my other pre-qual measures have been met and I feel comfortable and secure, I'm going to go and show them a property without having a buyer consultation. People go, well, that's terrifying. They want to buy a home. They don't want to meet with me. If I can get the buyer consult, great. If I can't, I'm going to do the buyer consult at the home. So if I have a buyer and I did everything I could on the phone to make sure that my odds of them buying this home are very, 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 very good, then I'm going to go do that. If I am a new agent and I have nothing else to do, I'm going to go get in front of more people sooner than rather than later and maybe take a bigger risk. But it's a business decision. All these other people will tell you, don't do this, don't do that. They don't pay your bills. I'm teaching you strategies that'll save your time and money as you get more experienced, or even if you're more experienced, that can help making this process even easier, but no one can tell you what to do or not do. You have to get up to bat to hit the ball. If you don't ever go and show up a property, it's going to be hard to sell one, right? So be very clear. I'm not trying to tell you what to do or not do. I'm just telling you strategies that'll make it smarter, okay? So that day, we've got 9 a.m., identify the top 6 properties. By 5 p.m., you're going to email them the properties. You're going to prepare for your tour. So here's the big piece here, preparing for the tour, okay? Google directions. Make sure you have printed directions, because if it's a new construction development, there's issues. You don't have service, your phone goes down. Nothing makes you look more stupid than not being able to find the property and having to ask your clients if they can help you try to find it. Hello, I'm guilty of doing this. I was like, I don't know where the hell we're at. I was like, do you have service? Because I don't have service. We're screwed. And then we're both sitting there looking stupid, right? So color copies of the properties for their home tour. So every buyer packet, I look at it like a listing presentation, because I'm only going once. So I have a beautiful folder. I have properties that are printed in it in color, because I'm not cheap, because these people are about to buy a $500,000 house and you're sitting there trying to do black and white copies because you want to save 20 cents per copy, you cheapskates. Print the color copies, because you're about to make 10 G's or 5 G's or whatever it is. It's worth the $7 you're going to spend. I promise you, right? Because it's presentation, okay? Now, in that, I'm going to have an extra pin in there. Again, if I'm not meeting them at the consultation, a pin regardless, so they can make notes as they're going through the property as a professional. Business cards. I'm going to have business cards, because agents, for some reason, still to this day, think it's important for me to leave a card when I've been there to show the property. And I always look at it like this. You never know if that property is going to be expired. My card is just a calling card for that client when I call them on an expired listing anyway, so they know I showed their home. So every opportunity you have to market yourself, drop a card, right? Estimated repair cost sheet. Now, this is a big one. I always carry an estimated repair cost sheet with me that you can get off of Google or talk to your local home inspector, because I need to know quickly when I'm going through a property and they go, "Oh boy, Brendan, this furnace looks like it's about 30 years old. What do you think it's going to cost to replace that if the buyer doesn't do it?" Well, ... What about this? ... Right? It just makes it easier. And instead of you, because then you tell them, well, I think the furnace is probably around $5,000-ish, right? Take it off of you and go, hey, according to my home inspector, he does all of this. My contractors, they state that it cost exactly this amount. Not exactly, approximately this amount, okay? Then COVID-19 supplies. So you need to have all of your supplies. You know all this, guys, your gloves, your snorkel, all the stuff you're going to need to be able to dive into these houses. Make sure you have that times 3 and your whole back seat is ready to rock and roll. Okay, so now we're ready to jump in. Now, the home tour day of survival kit. Every time, and this is the other preparation, you might as well just drive around with cases of water in your trunk so you can always have water for your clients. I want them happy, healthy, and pleasant throughout this whole process so I can get the money. So they write the check, right? So when we get to the end, they're excited about this process. If they're tired, cranky, hungry, and ticked off, they don't want to make the check. They want to go to Sizzler and get a steak. They're not thinking about writing an offer. I want them comfortable during this entire process. So snacks, make sure you are a driving snack machine. Toilet paper, as you know, some of these properties aren't going to have toilet paper. And of course, somebody's going to need it. Pen and notepad, we talked about that. Flashlight and a measuring tape. Anna, why would I need a flashlight?
Well, let's see. You could probably, maybe if there was a basement or a crawl space, or heaven forbid, I mean, even our weather today, what if the lights had gone out?
Exactly right. Yeah, right? The crawl space, the mechanical rooms are always super dark. You're trying to find what year the furnace was serviced or whatever it is. Plus it just makes you look like a professional. I don't even, half the time I just flashlight things just to look cool. I'll be honest with you. It probably makes no sense. It just makes me look cool. Measuring tape. I need the measuring tape because they go, our furniture would never fit in this room. Oh, really? Oh, it does. Surprise face, make the offer, right? So measuring tape is invaluable to you to have when you're in the field, okay? Now, you don't have to have like a utility belt, all this stuff on you. Keep it in your glove box, keep it wherever. You can run outside real quick and grab it. You're not going to need it for every property, but be prepared. If one thing you take away, be prepared, all right? All right, pro tips. Tattoo on your forearm, I don't get paid to show homes. Let that always be a reminder. Look down every time and read it and then smack yourself in the head and go, I don't get paid to show homes. You get paid to sell them. I see people every week going, man, Brendan, I'm so busy. I showed 18 properties. How many did you sell? Well, not yet, but it's coming. So you didn't do squat. You showed 18 homes that you made no money to do. Congratulations. You wasted a lot of time. Well, you don't understand these buyers are very, very particular. Then why'd you show them 18? Well, they wanted to see 18. Well, then they're not very particular. Okay? Hello? It's pretty simple. So start with the best home first. Okay? Start with the best home first. Pro tip. I'm sure I'll get some comments on this and be like, Brendan, that's ridiculous. I can only tell you what I've done. I always show the one that I feel is going to make the most sense, that lines up with their criteria the best. That's the prettiest, the one that looks the nicest. Does it always work out that way? No. But the reason I do it is because after they see the best one first, everyone we look at after that is not as good. And then we downgrade each one. And then I go, so we're in the last one that has a raccoon running around in it. And I'm like, whoo, compared to this first one, this one's a real dumpster fire, right? And they're like, oh man, you are right. This thing sucks. And I go, man, that other one we saw at 123 Elm Street was beautiful. So I know you guys like that one a lot. So let's go ahead and do the right thing. Let's go ahead and make an offer. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm going to go to closing techniques in a second, but it's a build-up. It's a reverse build-up to going once. It would be like you dating somebody that's really good looking and you have 3 more dates with somebody that's not so good looking. You're always going to think about the really good looking person. That's just human nature, right? So it's the same thing with houses. It's the same thing, okay? So remind clients of their goals and realign them if necessary as I'm going through the home, right? So they're like, oh, this. Okay, I get that. But you really wanted a yard, right? A big enough yard for little Joey and Rocket to run around in. Okay, well, great. It does have that, correct? Yeah, you're right. It does have that yard. Cool. All right. And you're always reminding them of what was good about the property and their goal. Your energy will dictate whether they make an offer or not. If you're there and you're looking at your watch and you're like, all right, yeah, this is the 50th one I've shown you. So hopefully, I know how this is going to go. They're not going to buy a house. Your energy dictates what they're going to do. Call the agent of the home they like. This is probably the real behind the scenes action. If I think they remotely like a property, we go see that first one and they remotely like it, I'm on the phone with that agent immediately, calling them from this property to the next one. Also another reason why they don't ride with me in the car. And I'm going, hey, Susie, I've got some buyers that are really interested in your property at 123 Elm Street. Can you tell me the whole skinny on it? Do you have any offers? What have you rejected any offers? If I submit you a full price offer today or an offer today, what does that look like? What's your seller's closing situation? What did you eat for breakfast? I'm trying to get every piece of information I can. So when I get to the next property, and I'm super chill, and I'm just talking to them. They're like, so what do you think about that first one? I'm like, oh, you know what? I already did all the research on it ahead of time. Here's where they're at. Wow. I just took every question away about anxiety of them making an offer because I already know all of those answers. Big piece of this. Now, Brendan, the agent doesn't answer the phone. Okay, well, I can't control that. Then that's not going to happen, obviously. But if they do, I always stress to them, or I'm in the next home, I'm texting them going, hey, I've got a buyer that's super interested in your property. Whatever it is, I'm doing it to make sure I can deliver upon what they want, which is the information to make an offer, right? In each home, point out the highlights that match their criteria. We kind of talked about that with their goals. criteria and goals are very much similar. If we're in the home and we're talking about goals and they're like, blah, 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 well, your goal was to have an extra bedroom for little Johnny, right? You needed the extra this, you needed the 3-car garage, you needed this has this, checkbox, 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 okay? So those are all the pro tips there. Script to close. Now, the whole reason you came here was to figure out how can I sell the freaking houses so I don't have to go and show them another day, right? Hopefully that's what you came for. So here's a very simple script, right? And Anna, I know you again, haven't sold 1,000 houses. That's why I'm going to have you be the agent and I will be your buyer. So Anna, we just looked at 6 beautiful homes. We're sitting in the house of the last one, and you're going to say to me,
so it sounds like the house on 123 Elm Street has the elements you wanted in a home. The next step for us is to submit an offer. In order for us to make an offer, I'm going to need a check for the earnest money. I'll call your lender and confirm I have a pre-qual letter with the exact offer price and the address of the home that you love. After that, I'll head back to the office to draft up an offer letter, and you'll be one step closer to owning a home.
There you go. Well done. Give her a hand. Beautiful reading there. When we're looking at that, right? Did she ever ask me, so what do you think? Did she ever ask me, so which one do you like? Did she ever ask me, so do you guys want to make an offer? No. That's why this is very different when you're in the last one, when you start out just like this. So I'd look at all of them and I go, all right, so looking at everything, it sounds like the one at 123 Elm Street was the one that you guys out of today. Now they might go, you know what? No, Brendan, it was actually 126 Elm Street that was actually the one. Okay, great. So now let's move forward to buying that one. All right, so it had all the elements and you go right back into this script. What happens with us as agents is we get into that final home, we get real nervous because here's what we're doing. We're going, please, 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 please tell me you want to make an offer. Please tell me you want to make an offer. Please, 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 please. And they're looking at it going, we could or we could not. You know, these houses were cool, but there might be some more cool houses tomorrow. There might be some cool houses in 3 days. There might be cool houses for every day for the rest of my life. You're helping them get to the final decision by talking them through this. And then if they go, no, we hate it, Brendan, all the ones we saw today were terrible. We're absolutely not going to make an offer on any of them. Are you out of your mind? Cool. Let's sit down if there's furniture there. If there's not furniture there, stand around the kitchen or a place where you can talk. Let's go back through and talk about then what were they missing? Because this was, again, and I always go back to them, this was your criteria. This is the ones that you selected. So when you got here, was it that, well, they're just all too small? Okay. So if we want to look at bigger properties, then we're going to need to go outside of this area because for what your budget is and the size of properties that are available in this budget, those two don't exist together. Okay. So we can either go further out or we can align your expectations for what you want to purchase. What would you like to do? And you go through this question after question after question to make sure that when you leave there, if you aren't making an offer for some crazy reason, that we have a very clear vision of what's going to happen next. All right. So that's a script to close. We also will have that on our private Facebook page for you to utilize. Now, objection handlers. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. We've got about 8 minutes left here, so not really sure we want to make an offer. So I saved all the good stuff here for the very end, right? Brendan, we're just not really sure we want to make an offer. And I completely understand. The only thing we're going to do today is submit an offer and put an option on this home so you can wake up tomorrow and decide if you still want to move forward with it. We're going to put an option on this home so you can wake up tomorrow and decide if you still want to move forward with it. Now, I can already hear people in their minds yelling at me or whatever. Well, Brendan, well, that's crazy. You know, you're gonna cancel the listing, or what if you're screwing over the listing agent? What if they decide to wake up tomorrow and cancel and all that? They're gonna do that anyway if they want to. All we are doing, if we're being very honest with ourselves, is putting an option on the property for them to decide what they really want to do. Because they can back out on inspection, they can back out on appraisal for the most part, and they can back out on loan termination deadlines for the most part. I know every state has different laws and all this, but for the most part, everything's designed to protect the buyer in some form or fashion, okay? So all I'm doing is making sure that we move forward so that they can wake up and decide what they really want to do. You know how many times they wake up and tell me that they don't want to move forward? Almost never. And I'm actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think it's ever happened to me, right? It works. You can't buy a house if you don't make an offer, and get the offer accepted is obviously the end goal here, okay? So this is a powerful one. Again, you utilize this and you have the smoothness to say it just like how I just did. So great. Yeah, not sure you want to make an offer, completely understand. And then you just go right into it. And they're like, so what? And then you also assume, and you go back to your previous one. So again, I'm going to head back to the office. I'll draft everything up. I need an earnest money check for $5,000 made out to so-and-such. Guys, I'm super excited for you. I'll have that offer written up and I'll call you back here as soon as I have it over in your email box. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. You're out the door. Okay? It works. It works. All right. Now the promise follow-up, right? So now we've done all of our job. We've got them the property. As we said, throughout this transaction, we're going to continue to remind them of the promise so I can get another referral out of it, and then also get a 5-star review, which is going to get me more referrals and more business, right? So that's what I'm going to remind them of every step of this process once I get them under contract, okay? So the promise follow-up is extremely important. Contract to close. Now, we thought about this and we knew that this was going to come down to exactly this amount of time. This is an entirely another class in its entirety. But to make it as simple as possible, when we talk about inspection, final walkthroughs, closing gift strategies, follow-up communication plan, post-purchase, and then the final accountability of the promise, what we're looking at on the inspection is we have in our script book all kind of objection handlers to deal with inspection. Your buyer says that they want 1,000 items on the inspection. We cover that in the script book, so I'm not going to do it right now. The final walkthrough, we also have techniques that we cover on how to have a successful walkthrough. But if you look at this entire list, it's all about, again, being prepared. It's setting expectations. So if I want to have a great home inspection with my buyer, I'm going to make sure they understand what we're looking for when they go in on the inspection, which is very simple. Health and safety issues, so things that are going to cause you physical, harm, that are, so if there's a live, gas leak, yes. Number 2, things that are physically broken. So if the window's broken, yes, we're going to be looking at physically broken, not worn or scuffed or used or carpet. That's the things that we're going to be dialing in on, is those 2 things. So when you're going to look at the property, make sure you're aware of that, because if that's not what you're ready for, then we need to be looking at a new construction home and only new construction homes, because every home is going to have certain little things about it because they've been lived in, okay? So again, setting the standard on what the expectation is of the inspection will become very important. So looking at that, we're going to have a whole nother class on that. So closing gift strategies, what to do, all of that. One of the things I'll say about closings, and this is another one where people will get very anxiety about it. I don't go to closings. I don't go. It makes no sense to me, especially, thank you again, COVID. Now I don't have to go, which is awesome, right? But before that, so that's the perfect example. You don't have to go to closings now in COVID, but you wanted to go to them before. Well, Brendan, that's where I build the relationship with my clients. If that's where you build the relationship with your clients, then that's where I take the picture with the big key. What? Like that doesn't even make any sense. If you look at an average closing, and especially on a buyer side, and this is if everything goes right, it's an hour and a half to 2 hours, right? If everything doesn't go right, it's an absolute disaster. So if you do everything on the front side ahead of time, when we're talking closing gift strategies and all of this, wouldn't it make a lot more sense if I wanted to make an impact on my clients is to pre-call them, go over all the details, make sure that they felt extremely comfortable about everything for the next day for them to go to closing, explain to them what's going to happen when they're at the closing and all of that fun stuff. And then if I want to do something amazing after that, then stop by the home and do a pop by and really make an engagement with them. You know how stressed they are on closing day? And then us as agents always go, well, I relieve that stress. No, you don't relieve the stress. You're not there as a stress reliever. And well, what if they have questions? I'm a phone call away. The title agent does this every day. They have all of the questions answered. So this goes back to, do I want to sell 50 homes a year and have a schedule? Or do I want to sell 10 homes a year and be sitting at a closing eating cookies for 4 hours? That's the big difference. You get to decide, right, on what you want to do. All right. So to recap everything, so pre-appointment preparation is key. Set the standard and educate the buyer. Remind and align on the home tour. The offer, make sure you know what to say and how to say it so they can decide. And then deliver on the promise so you can get more deals and more referrals. So as always, education without implementation is stupidity. So with your piece of paper or in the chat box, I'd love to see it in the chat box. What's one takeaway that you learned today that you're going to do differently to make working with buyers fun? So throw that in the chat box for me, or an aha that you had where you go, look, I've been doing it this way for so long, I didn't quite realize that I could do it this way. Or if you go, Brendan, I don't like anything you say, you suck, you can also put that in there. I'll ignore it, but you're more than welcome to, right? You can put that in there as well, right? So we want to take a look at some of those actions, and I want to save some time for some questions, okay? So next week, if you want a game changer in your business, and you know that expired listings are that piece of your business that you've been a little bit nervous about, a little bit scared, you're not even sure what they are, you don't know where to find them, you don't know what to do with them, they're the most profitable bucket you can possibly have to make your business explode. I'm going to teach you the techniques, the strategies, all of those things on how to. I don't know why there's a green line on it. Are you seeing that?
I was going to say, I think a toddler took over someone's mouse.
I was like, somebody's drawing on our screen, which is hilarious. Maybe that was me. I don't know. But anyway, it'll make you be able to understand it. Even if you don't want to do it, you should understand the expired world just for the neighborhood you're farming, just for understanding how the whole system works. It's where all the money is. They have already decided that they want to sell their home. They've already decided that they want to use a professional real estate agent. Only thing is, their first choice was stupid. You're there to be the hero and fix that, right? So you're going to fix those things. So join us next Tuesday. And then lastly, so as you saw that amazing buyer consultation, our path to home ownership, which I don't believe everybody saw. So one of the things that we also have on our screen share, which I'll show you real quick, that you can also add to your firepower, if you will, is you can also have in there, so you've got your buy with confidence, and then you also have your mapping the journey. Did that open up? No? Yes?
Okay. Yeah, you're great. Sorry.
Yeah. So the mapping your journey page, right, looks very much like this. And if you want something really slick like this for your buyers that shows them the entire buying process, there you go, right? So we obviously, if you think I sat there and I made this from scratch, we didn't. We got it from someone else, paid someone else to provide it to us. Now you can add and customize it however you want, but what a great easy way to make sure that they understand the entire process without you having to teach them, right? So those are those little kind of tools. So in looking at that, as we said, in closing here, if you want any of that information, let us know. Today only, we can actually, if you're interested in some of these things, we have editable versions of things that you can customize to build your own buyer consultation and buyer presentation. You see the information there. So info@thebardic Group. If you enjoyed what you liked and what you saw, I thrive off your guys' feedback so we can help more people. Feel free to drop us a 5-star review because we delivered on our promise to make sure you have the most exceptional class on earth. And, number 2, if you're interested in elite one-on-one coaching or group coaching, so we are actually starting our group coaching program. We've had so many requests. We have a huge waiting list of people that have been wanting group coaching. So elite group coaching is going to be happening July 7th. Is that correct?
July 8th. Yep,
July 8th. I was off by a day. So if you have interest in that and you're going, look, Brennan, I don't want to pay, $1,500 a month because I'm starting out, but I do need to learn all this stuff from the best people in the business and I need you to guide me through this, then yes, we have group coaching. It's a heck of a lot more affordable, I believe. Don't hold me to this. For anybody that's joined us on our webinars, instead of it being $399 a month, I think it's $299 a month. So for $300 a month, you're going to get every single little thing that's going to help you drive your business to the next level and hopefully have some fun doing it. So with that being said, I will stick around for a few minutes. I try to keep everybody on time because I respect your time. You, first of all, be proud of yourselves for making the jump to come and learn these techniques. In the chat box, I think, we saw some comments in there where people are pumped to use the pre-appointment sheet. So Carolyn, really excited for you. Kenny likes the scripts, which is awesome. So I'm going to stick around. If you have questions, feel free to unmute or put your questions in the chat box, and I'll tell you everything I possibly can. And as always, I wish all of you great success.
Thanks so much for coming, everyone.
Was there any questions I didn't see, Anna?
There was one about when we're in the last house, and I think this is actually a dual question. Do you provide feedback to the sellers on why your buyers aren't picking this house? And or are you concerned about security in the house if you are talking about why this house isn't the one for your buyer?
Two questions there. So
yeah.
Yes. So if I'm in the house, do I prepare my clients to know that every homeowner could be stalking us?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I say, look, a lot of people have, cameras in here, little things. So again, if we want to talk comfortably about the property, just know that they're listening, which is semi-illegal, but it is what it is. But you're in their home. So yes, I do make them aware of it. I try to make sure that they're, being respectful at all times. If I think it's a home that they're interested in, then especially as much, and I'll take the conversation outside. But at the end of the day, if my buyers are going to be honest about the property, and again, they don't want to make an offer on it, it is what it is. Then it looks like we have a question here. So the second part of that question was, do I provide detailed feedback to the sellers? Absolutely. And if I can say one thing before the last people click off of here, if you're showing a property to a buyer and your buyer does not have interest in buying it, and you put in the showing feedback that the price was perfect and that the pricing is absolutely awesome, you're basically in our industry taking that listing agent and screwing him into the fact that he or she is never going to be able to get a listing a price adjustment on that property. Because as you know, if the price was perfect, your buyer would probably be moving forward with it to some degree. So the price is never perfect. It can't be perfect. Otherwise, you see what I'm saying there? So make sure you're very cognizant of that. And who are you to know if the price is perfect? Did you do a CMA on the property? It drives me nuts, right? The pricing is never perfect on any type of property that you're showing, okay? Why do we want our clients to bring earnest money to showings if it's not due until 3 days after the contract is accepted? Great question. Additionally, I thought that they needed to turn earnest money into the title company, not the agent. All wonderful things. So I'm surprised that didn't come up during the class. The whole reason for it is because with the expectation of me bringing my checkbook and writing a check there on the spot, I just made a mental agreement that I'm moving forward and purchasing this home. That act of writing out that check, in their head, they're going, this is real. It's actually happening. It's going down, right? That's the real reason. So it's a great question. Now, yes, is it not due for 3 days? Can they wire it because of COVID now? Can they do all of those things? Absolutely. But again, it's also easy for you to drop it off in 2 seconds. But once I have that check, and I'll also tell you, there's a lot of old school agents out there that they won't look at your offer if you don't have, and I should definitely bring that up, you don't have a copy of the earnest money check with you. I know that makes no logical sense in 2020, makes no sense, but it's still the way the game is played. Even me as a listing agent, if I don't see that earnest money check for whatever reason, it was programmed in my mind, I'm like, not that serious. They're not that serious, right? They're obviously not that serious. Oh, they're going to give it to us in 3 days. Well, what if they don't give it to them in 3 days? Then we don't have a deal. They're going to back out in 3 days. The seller's going through all of these questions in their mind as well. So if I'm trying to get my offer accepted, I want to have a love letter. If you're going to do a love letter, when I mean a love letter, why your buyer's amazing. Number 2, an earnest money check copied and uploaded into CTM. Number 3, I'm going to have in there the pre-approval letter with the address of the property at the offer price that we're submitting the offer for. So if we're making an offer at $450, the pre-approval is at $450, not at $500 if they're pre-qualified up to $500. I'm also having the lender call the agent, and I do this every single time, and tell them that my buyer is the most amazing thing since sliced bread. All of that. And then the easiest thing is I send, if you want a really irritated listing agent, especially a listing agent that does a lot of business, send them 3 different emails with all your screwed up stuff. You really want to annoy me? Send me your pre-qual letter in one email. Send me your love letter thing in another email. No. Everything needs to be uploaded into CTM in a digital link in a one-stop, one-shop, perfect presentation email that says, Brendan, you are a heck of a good-looking guy. My clients are really amazing. You're going to love working with them. Here's all of the things I've attached to the offer that you're going to need for your clients to be able to accept our offer. Love you, long time. Call me if you have any questions. That's it, right? As easy as that. But if you get all this stuff broken up, so that's where I see a lot of agents screwing up. So back to your earnest money question. It's the mental, all of this. Are there faster ways to do things? Sure. Is there more efficient ways to do things? I've got to get a mental commitment from every client that we're taking this journey together. Cool. Question number 1 on the pre-qual sheet. When you are asking if they have a signed agreement, and if so, who the agent is that just a question in order to save yourself from wasting time with someone you can't help? Exactly, Rusty. Yeah, if you're already working with another agent, Rusty, I don't want to have nothing to do with you, especially if you have a signed agreement. If you can ask some more qualifying questions there. So, hey, is it for 6 months, 3 months? Are you happy with them? I don't want to get into any of that stuff. I want to go, look, that question should happen on the phone and go, hey, yeah, well, we already have a signed agreement with another agent, but she's terrible. You're going to hear this all the time. Or he's a moron, right? I got this agreement with this other agent. He's a moron. How can I get out of it? Be careful. You say anything here to advise them on how they can get out of a buyer agency agreement with their client, you will, first of all, you're a jerk off, because you shouldn't do that, because who knows how hard they went to get that agreement signed, and their clients are probably crazy. That happens a lot. But we get it in our mind going, ooh, $signs, I can save you. So why don't I just cross over these barriers and go, here's how you can break that agreement and do all of this stuff? It's not worth it. Again, real estate career, not real estate year. You want to have longevity, and this is a small community when you really look at it. People will hate you, and you think the next time your buyer wants to make an offer on one of their properties, or the next time that agent who was the buyer's agent becomes a listing agent. So they say I have a signed agreement with an agent, you go, wish you the best of luck. Back to the phones. Did I miss anything else, Anna?
Let's take a look here.
Thank you. One more question. Aren't love letters no longer allowed when submitting an offer? Yeah, Kendra. So to say that love letters, this is where I will be very careful in this statement, right? Do what your local broker or MLS or DMAR or whatever it is tells you to do. That is by far and away the biggest thing I can say. So in your love letter, if I'm sending over an offer in CTM, are you allowed to tell them why the buyer is so qualified and so great? The answer is yes. Yes? So I can tell them why they are so great. Now, I know my good friend Ron Thorne is on this call, and he will probably be the one that can tell you all the legalities of what you can or cannot do. But what I can also tell you is whatever you put into an offer, I'm trying to support my buyer getting their offer accepted. Now, can I send over a picture of them with their 2 kids and their cats and their dogs and all of that? I am not your managing broker. Can I tell you this? Do I receive offers like that every day? Yes, I do. I receive offers like that from agents every single day that have that stuff built into it. Am I going to call DMAR or the Colorado Association of Realtors and turn them in? Probably not. Right? So that was a great question. So Kendra, I know that was a mixed answer. The answer is do what's legally correct. Don't do what I do. That's the easiest way of answering that question. All right. I think That should be everything, Anna?
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through making sure we didn't.
Oh, I get objections to signing the exclusive right to buy. So I believe that's pronounced Dolce, but I don't know. So excellent. So in looking at that question, right? So if you're getting objections to getting anything signed, let's say buyer agency, listing agreement, whatever it is, the only thing that's affecting those conversations is that either number one, they weren't pre-qualified ahead of time because there's some reason why they don't want to work with you or that they don't feel that they can move forward. Number two, you didn't explain your value. So if I'm sitting with Anna right now and I go, Anna, great. So Anna, now, got all this done so that I can fully protect you and make sure that you're protected throughout this entire process. All I need from myself and my brokerage is a signature on our buyer agency agreement. Clearly, it states here all the things I'm going to do to make sure that you have a successful purchase, the most exceptional experience on earth. And of course, this just protects myself. So as we start working together, if for some reason that you find another property with another agent or something goes weird, that of course there's no confusion there and that everybody's protected. So all I need is a signature and we're good to go, right? It's just more of it's a lot of confidence, a lot of making sure they're comfortable. Now, if Anna goes, Brennan, you know what? I just don't feel comfortable with signing any agreement. We want to use 2 or 3 agents. Okay, Anna, can you explain to me why you want to use 2 or 3 agents? And then they read something on Google about why using 2 or 3 agents is beneficial for them. They're going to go da 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 da, and you're going to go, okay, here's the reason why that doesn't make sense. May I explain? Boom, boom, boom. Neutralize the objection, whatever the random thing it is, and explain to them that the whole point of this is because you want me to protect you. Now, the other piece of this too is you have to determine what your value is as a buyer agent. If you are the type of agent, and this is where we are. So here's what I do for my clients, Anna. Every single morning, I'm calling, door knocking, mailing neighborhoods to find you off-market properties because you don't want to compete with just what's on the MLS, correct? Of course you don't. You don't want to be with the rest of those peasants out there fighting over scraps. What I deliver to my clients and to my buyers is that every single day I'm going to be actively going to bat to find you a perfect home. And in order to do that, I need to make sure that I am legally allowed to do that on your behalf. You do want me to do that, right? Or do you want to fight over all the other homes that are on the MLS? No, you don't, right? You want me to do that.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, I just need a signature here authorizing me to do that on your behalf. See that difference? So that's a completely different thing than I need you to sign this because if I don't, my broker says I'm going to get in trouble, or I need you to sign this because I want to get paid. Basically, if you don't sign this, I don't get paid, and that sucks for me. So I hear agents do this all the time. They go, look, Anna, hey, this is to protect me from you screwing me over. I'm not going to sign that. I'm like, I don't
Yikes.
like, yippee for you. Cool. Right. Again, it's got to always be about the client. What's the benefit for them? What's the reason this is going to matter to them? Anything else? I hope that answered the question. I'm pumped to see the pre-appointment sheet. So I feel like an amazing agent and get all the information I need. That's great, Carolyn. Excellent. Pre-qual sheet. That's a big one. Not driving them around anymore. Love it. Control your time. Develop a better system. Control the process. Heidi said, I'm going to really narrow down the criteria. That's right. Research on the front to save you time on the back. That's the biggest piece. So if I didn't see your questions, feel free to always email us at info@thebardic.group. I'll try to answer anything I can. Join us next Tuesday so you can dominate expired listings. And I appreciate you guys coming. And I'm always here if you need anything.